So, you've got an idea for a business, the store of your dreams. There's just one thing to figure out: everything. That's why Shopify's all-in-one commerce platform makes it easy to sell online, in person, and everywhere else. Sell on social media, source products with an app to get that first sale feeling. It's the only solution that gives you everything you need to sell everywhere you want. So when you're ready to bring your idea to life, power it up with Shopify.
Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/listen.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Streamed and Screened, an entertainment podcast about movies and TV from Lee Enterprises. I'm Terry Lipshetz, managing editor of the National Newsroom at Lee and co-host of the program with Bruce Miller, editor of the Sioux City Journal, a longtime entertainment reporter, and this is your Super Bowl. This is your World Series. This is everything to you packed into one.
I think I have done this too long, because when I was tweeting, I got all these ads for Ozempic and Wegovy. So they must know that I'm like snacking like crazy, because I sit there like you are at Super Bowl and you've got all the spread on the table. That's me. That's me with the Oscars. And you know what? I've watched so many bad Oscars over the years, and they're still, for me, good, because I enjoy just seeing the atmosphere. And now I'm at the age where I'm looking in the background and looking for the publicists, because I know most of those people, and they did get a shout out tonight from several of them. So, hey, good for publicists. But if you ask me, the night was won not by Oppenheimer, but by Ryan Gosling. Ryan Gosling was incredible, not just in his little kind of fun I'm Just Ken performance, which brought out even some of the other Kens were in the dance with him. But he had this little kind of tete-a-tete with Emily Blunt about Oppenheimer and Barbie and which one was actually better and which one was riding the coattails. And she kept saying, well, you had your abs that they had to put the abs on you so that you looked like you had them. And they fought really well on screen. And I thought, you know what, that's good. And then whenever they needed to cut to somebody for a quick little laugh, he'd always do something. So the night belongs to Ryan Gosling.
It was the Barbie year, but it wasn't a Barbie night.
No, and they only got one award. Billie Eilish and her brother Phineas won for their Best Song nominee. And that was kind of an expected one, but there was a thought that they would win costumes or sets because they were really bizarre.
Right.
And Poor Things won those. Poor Things really did much better than anybody thought it would. It got 4 awards, and probably the one that was the most nail-biting was Best Actress for Emma Stone.
Yep.
Because most thought that Lily Gladstone would win for Killers of the Flower Moon.
Right.
And that would have been giving, another award to another Best Picture nominee. And it won nothing. Killers of the Flower Moon won nothing. And Lily was very gracious in losing, and she cheered Emma, and I thought that, very gracious. But that means that she will be back. We'll see her again, and she's producing things now too. So maybe this is a good boost where she can produce a film just like Emma did with Poor Things. So it gives her a launching pad for other things, and I think that was good. And then they brought back something this year that I really, really, really love, and that's past winners introducing the nominees in the acting categories. And that works because then it makes those who don't win feel like they've won something. Here are these icons saying nice things about you. Okay, I don't win, but the idea that I've got some super 2-time Oscar winner saying nice things about me, and they were all very tearful. The first ones they did were the supporting actress ones, and you could see that Da'Vine Joy Randolph was just really taken by the things that were said about her, and she won. Yeah. And, they had a little bit of trivia in there as well that I kind of liked. They said that she wore her grandmother's glasses, and I've not heard this all award season long, which I thought was a nice little touch. But that was a cool thing, and they've got to keep doing that. I think that was one thing from the past that really worked, and it gives you an opportunity to see some of those old stars.
Yeah, I think that's always fun when you can kind of bring out the former Oscar winners, or even if they hadn't won an Oscar, just somebody that was a legend of Hollywood just to kind of come out. And it was nice to see, like Al Pacino coming out at the very end to do it. Was a little awkward. It felt a
He
little
seemed
odd.
addled, if you ask me.
Yeah.
But I think they wanted him to read the names of the movies or something before he just kind of opened up the
Right.
and read the winner. But what the hell? That's Al.
Al could do whatever he wants, right? He's at that
Yeah.
age. He probably figured I got to get home. It's a little past my bedtime. I'm in my 80s now. But yeah, it's funny. You just kind of opened up the envelope, and it's just like, oh yeah, there's Oppenheimer right there, and it just felt like
It's La La Land.
we should have said something. There should have been something else mentioned along the way, but it wasn't. But that's all fine. It was strange. We talked about the in our preview episode how this almost felt like a ho-hum kind of Oscars, that it was one that, yeah, maybe we wouldn't really find too many surprises. And, early on, Divine Joy Randolph, that was supposed to be a slam dunk, and it was. And Robert Downey Jr. was pretty much a shoe-in, and he won it. And obviously, like, Cillian Murphy won it. And Oppenheimer won Best Picture. And Christopher Nolan won Best Director. We expected all of these things to happen. The real surprise to me was like Lily Gladstone, who seemed to be on a roll. I mean, she was
Right.
winning award after award after award, and this just felt like, we were going to crown somebody new and a Native American, and it was just like another door opening, and it just didn't work out. Now, that's nothing against Emma Stone, a tremendous honor, and but it's just it felt a little strange. Like I just didn't see that coming.
That's one of those things that the Oscar doesn't really fall for, if you will, where they have this kind of story or narrative.
Yeah.
You'll see that with other award shows where they'll, and it's like American Idol. This is my best comparison, where they feel that you have to have some kind of sad story that would get you over the edge. And the true thing is that Emma Stone was on screen much longer than Lily Gladstone was. People talked about that being a supporting performance. Maybe it should have been entered as a supporting performance and she would have won. But you know what? She was fine with it, and she has won other awards this year. So it wasn't like she was shut out completely. She got great name recognition, and she gave a great performance. What more can you say,
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was interesting. Some of the odd things that they did. John Cena he was supposed to do a tribute to the streaker, and he looked like he was going to be naked. And he was like, Jimmy says, "Come on, no, I don't want to. I'm not going to do that." Well, he comes out and he's holding this big envelope in front of him, and it does look like he's naked. And sure enough, while they're reading the names of the nominees, they rush out and put like this kind of robe, kind of curtain-like thing around him, and the people in the audience said that he was indeed naked. So look at his commitment to this. It's like, I would not be doing that. No way.
No,
and the
yeah.
Rock was there. So is this a year for the WWE to kind of move in on the Oscars?
Man, yeah, I don't know. When I last watched I last watched the WWE when it was known as the WWF. Okay,
but it was interesting that they did kind of stretch in that direction, and it was fun seeing Chris Hemsworth because the winner in his category was not there, and so he carried the Oscar out, and it looked like he was holding Thor's hammer. It was very fun to see that kind of like spontaneous reaction. They paired people together, and Octavia Spencer and Melissa McCarthy have been lifelong friends. They did a little goofy thing about writing, and they tried to be funny with Chip and Dale, and it just fell flat. It was stupid. But they had Danny DeVito and Arnold Schwarzenegger. And those two, you thought right away, well, it's twins. They're doing twins, right? And then they started talking about, well, I was the Freeze in the Batman movie, and you were the
Penguin. Yeah,
I was the Penguin. Yeah. Well, and then they kind of like are looking, and there's Michael Keaton in the audience wearing what looks like a Bruce Wayne outfit, kind of like, giving them no, you watch it. I'm going to get you both. And it was a very, very clever bit that they added in. But there were those kinds of things. And then there were ones who did nothing. Zendaya presented, but there was no, trick to whatever. Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande presented the music awards, and Ariana wore pink, Cynthia wore green. They're both making the Wicked movie. It'll be up next year for Oscars. All they needed to do was sing for good, and they didn't. But it was just kind of like, is somebody pushing the envelope here a little bit to try and make you think about whatever is coming up? But they were both fine, whatever. And there were, like I say, those duos that you would see throughout the night that had something to do with somebody else, which I thought was clever. I was surprised that Jimmy Kimmel wasn't as kind of pointed about some of the things he said, because he's very vicious on his own show. And he wasn't for the most part. And then at the end of the night, he mentioned that Donald Trump had reviewed his performance and said that he was worse. They were terrible. They could get a better one. And, they could get a super talent. And he read the thing. And I thought, well, okay, Jimmy, you could have saved that for tomorrow night when you do your own show.
Yeah.
I think you needed to do it on the Oscars.
Right. But, yeah. I don't really like to delve into politics and stuff with entertainment. Now there's different ways of thinking here, because there's some people that think like, entertainers, they should stay out of politics altogether. And I disagree with that, but I also think
have their opinion. But I don't. That's too big of a platform.
Exactly.
Those kinds of things.
Yeah, I always feel like with an award show like this, I understand some people, they want to come out and use an acceptance speech to make a point about something, but that's really, I think it can be a turnoff to different portions of the population. This is about, it's about the movies, and that's what this should be. And I don't hold anything against anybody. If you want to support somebody on the right, on the left, it doesn't matter to me. You should vote for or be whatever you want to be. But I think like it can be a turnoff in this type of, when you use this kind of forum to do it. I understand the reasoning. It's you have a huge audience, you want to get a message across, but I don't know. There's always a time or place for everything, and I just feel like let's celebrate movies, because that's what we're here for.
If your movie is a politically kind of motivated movie, or if it has something to do with something, you can see that the winner is going to be able to say something about that. 20 Days in Mariupol,
right?
And they won, and they did something about it, and that was expected,
right?
But I think as the host, I think you have to rise above. We saw that with Bob Hope. We saw that with Johnny Carson. We saw that with Billy Crystal, and they didn't engage in that. And I think that is something that he does on his own talk show.
Yep.
And he should do that on his talk show. It isn't necessarily something he should do on the Oscars,
right? Because
you're invited into somebody else's house. And it's like if I came over to your house and the first thing I started doing was talking politics with you, you say, why did I invite him?
Yeah. Right.
Am I wrong on that? That's just my feeling, because I want everybody to feel like they can embrace a part of the night.
Yeah, no, and I think that was part of what I was trying to express too, and I think you got to it also. If you're watching something like a Jimmy Kimmel Live, a Last Week Tonight with John Oliver, whatever it is, you kind of know going in that they're coming at things from a certain perspective, that they might support certain ideas, this, that, and the other. That's fine. This is kind of, it's like watching the Super Bowl. It's like watching anything. You're just watching it for, you're not there for the politics or the other things. You're there for the movies, for the awards. That's what that's
for. It's not the State of the Union address.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
Yep.
That's just my only, I just wish, and I think he was running, there was too much time left.
Yeah.
And he was looking for somebody to fill, and somebody says, hey, look at this came through.
Right.
Let's do something about it. And maybe they shouldn't have done that.
Shopify helps you sell at every stage of your business. Like that, let's put it online and see what happens stage.
And the site is live.
That we opened a store and need a fast checkout stage.
Thanks. You're all set.
That count it up and ship it around the globe stage.
This one's going to Thailand.
And that, wait, did we just hit 1 million orders stage? Whatever your stage, businesses that grow with Shopify. Sign up for your $1 a month trial at shopify.com/listen.
They also should have had in their back pocket a closing thing.
Yes.
Something like a song or whatever that could have really given it that boost that we've seen in years past.
Yep.
And when it does seem like it fizzles. Okay, and that's it. We gave out the best picture and goodbye. Have a good night.
Yeah.
And I think you need something. I think you need Hooray for Hollywood or some crap that will get you out there.
You know what it needs almost, and this is the problem with, it's one thing with a sporting event, because a sporting event, the time it takes as long as it needs to take. With a production like this, I mean, we understand it might run a little bit quick, it might run a little bit slow based on acceptance speeches, but other than those acceptance speeches, we should have a pretty good amount of time to know like when we're going to start and when we're going to end, right? So if if everybody goes over by 2 minutes, okay, so you might add on to it. But if you say, okay, we're going to assume that 60-second acceptance speech times X number of awards, let's get the show ending at, a certain time, like 10 p.m. Eastern or 11 p.m. Eastern or whatever it needs to be. It almost bothered me a little bit because I was just like losing track of time. And next thing you know, it's because we're in the central time zone and I'm looking at my clock. It's like 9 o'clock and it's over. I mean, what happened
It's
here?
like
I mean, I don't mind. I got to get to bed, but
right. It was interesting to see John Mulaney presented, I think, sound, and it almost seemed like he was auditioning to be the next year's host.
Yeah,
because he did this whole kind of riff on Field of Dreams that I don't know if it went anywhere, but it was interesting, but it had absolutely nothing to do with the category.
Right.
So, in years past, they've had like goofy things where they've had a fashion parade, for example, of the costumes that are nominated for best costume. Interesting. I could go for it. Or they have like animated people where Mickey Mouse comes out and presents something.
Yeah.
Okay, I get it.
Yeah.
So, and I don't think they had as many of those kinds of things. I think they were really hyping it. There's a lot of new things that you've never seen before, and I really wasn't sure what that was.
Yeah, to come back also to the timing of the show, I almost wish you take like an SNL kind of approach where they film extra skits. If you go to see Saturday Night Live, there's the rehearsal version of it, which is actually longer than the show we see on TV, and then they trim out kind of the skits that don't land with the audience, and then they get it to that 90-minute program. So I almost wish they and I think you mentioned this a little bit, let's have some other things waiting in the wings, and if we're running a little bit quick, we have extra material, and if we're running a little bit slow, we can trim some fat here and kind of keep it on time.
They had David Alan Grier as the kind of the voice of the Oscars.
Yeah.
I think if they really had leaned into it, they could have had him talking with somebody else, kind of handicapping the night, where they could say, we've got, so far, Oppenheimer has won 4 awards and they're up for 3 more, or, something where you'd get kind of a sense of it's a game. And I don't know that he had enough crap in his arsenal to really to pull off something like that. The one thing I did like that they cut is showing long clips of the Best Picture nominees. They just ran by them pretty quickly, and I'm fine with that because I've seen them on every award show from now since like January, and I didn't need to see that, and it was like enough, so that was good. But that's usually what they go as a kind of a fallback thing. And then they end up near the end of the night going, well, we've got to hurry up. And the ones you want to hear from the most don't get any time to talk. But, people love that Godzilla one because it was a cheap movie. And Godzilla, and the people were so thrilled. They even brought their little kind of miniatures of Godzilla with them. And you felt their joy. Now, there were some of those people who were so far back, you wondered if like somebody maybe thought they had no shot at winning. So let's give them some seat as far back in the room as we can. And if they have to come up, because there were ones that, it took a while to get there.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but yeah, Barbie should have gotten better. There should have been some kind of production design or costume design for Barbie, because that really was key to that movie.
Yep.
Um, and Poor Things, yeah, they had goofy costumes, but were they that? Did it really make the movie? And I don't know that it did.
Yeah. Yeah, that
Yeah.
feels like it could have been a Barbie award right there.
Yeah, and Anatomy of a Fall got best screenplay, and that was a good one for them to win,
Yeah.
because that kind of gives them a cachet for, here's a foreign film, it got best screenplay. And the other one was American Fiction.
Mhm.
That certainly was a big boost for Cord Jackson, who wrote it and directed it. It was his first film that he directed. I think that's a huge launching pad for him. So there are things like that it looks good, it sounds good, it should be good. And it's too bad that Holdovers didn't get more. Did you see the controversy now that there was a claim of plagiarism with that film?
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah, and so that we'll be seeing that play out now in the next week.
Oh, geez.
How well that case goes. But you think, why do these people not say something before now? Or do they, and people silence them until it gets closer to the Oscars and after the voting? I don't know. But it's just, to me, it seemed really strange that was kind of populating the air during the weekend.
Yeah, I don't know. It is always peculiar. People wait for a certain moment for whatever their reason is to bring these things up.
And here's the thing about the Oscars: as much as it's fun to watch and it's cool, and I'm all hyped up for how many weeks?
Right.
Give it 6 months, and we're going to say what won. What was the winner? Now I can't remember that.
I know. Yeah.
I'll sit and make those lists at night, and I'll go, all right, now before I go to sleep, I should try and think of who the 5 nominees were for Best Actor, and I'll always be short one, and then I either have to get up and look it up, or just say, oh, screw it, you're just fiddling around with nothing.
Right.
So it doesn't, in the long run, I guess it doesn't mean that much, but it's still fun for the night.
Yeah, I think overall, just for me, the big disappointment, I would have really liked to have seen Lily Gladstone win, because I thought she was really good. But I do wonder too, because we did talk about this, was she in the wrong category? And if she was in, supporting, she probably wouldn't have won there either, because it would have been tough.
Yeah, it could have been very difficult. But, that again, that the narrative that this is a big advancement for, and fill in the blank.
Right.
It doesn't necessarily have to be Native American people. There's too much with that. Just go based on the performance. Yeah, that's all that's up for grabs. And I think that's where we lose sight of this, is that, well, now we're dissing Native Americans. No, we're not. That's not the point of that at all. It's just that people thought that there was more to Emma Stone's performance than Lily Gladstone's. That's all it is. And 6 years from now, we'll be saying, you know what? She was robbed.
Right.
So it is what it is. But I still say this just gives her another shot to get one.
She's not going anywhere. She'll be back.
No,
of course.
I think she will be.
Absolutely.
I can see her in so many things, and I can see her being one of those kind of smart-ass people who are shooting back at somebody in a movie. I want to see that. I want to see the feistiness that she can display that maybe she didn't get to display in this movie.
Yeah. The other disappointment to me was actually with the score. I would have really liked to have seen Robbie Robertson win for Killers of the Flower Moon, because it's just, and I'm a huge fan of rock and the band and Robbie Robertson's music in general. And it was so sad that we lost him this past year, because he was such an iconic musician. And I think it would have been really nice to see him go out with it. I understand it. You are, again, you're supposed to be awarding the best, and I have no problem with them doing what it went to Oppenheimer, so that's fine. But it just would have been nice to see that. But
he got a nice moment in the In Memoriam.
Sure.
And I thought that could have been done a little better. They had it so that you were kind of far back and you could just see the floating screens, but it never zeroed in so that I could see it at home.
Yeah.
We were focusing on. And then they had this, here's their hedge. is that you can go to our website and you'll see all the names, so that in case you are all upset that tomorrow you're going to say, I can't believe they snubbed so-and-so.
Yeah.
Then you'd be able to find the name there. But
exactly.
I thought it could have been a little better.
I feel like every year I am in some way infuriated by the in memoriam. It's like they cut away, they glaze over somebody, and they maybe highlight somebody. So it's just, you're never going to please everybody with that, then, I guess.
Yeah, you get to the year where you go, and Terry was in there? Why did they have Terry in there?
Exactly. Yeah. But the one last thing though that I'll add here is I'm really glad to see Oppenheimer win, because I thought it was such a marvelous movie. I'm so thrilled to see Christopher Nolan finally win, because he has been making amazing movies for 2 decades now. I mean, forever. I mean, you look back at like Tenet and Interstellar. Oh man, and the Dark Knight movies, and so much. And it's really nice to see him win, deservedly so, and
win for a good movie, not win for a mediocre movie.
Yep.
And then you don't have to do that make good with him.
Right. Yeah.
He won because it was the best.
People will ask, like, how can you make a 3+ hour movie about the atomic bomb and make it so well and so interesting? Well, he did it. You think about, and this is not a slight about Killers of the Flower Moon. It is not a slight against Martin Scorsese, because he is probably my favorite director of all time. But Killers of the Flower Moon, for me at least, was a little tough to follow at times, and it felt like it was slow. It felt like a slow movie, like it felt like a 3+ hour movie. And I don't know what Christopher Nolan did, but he took the most uninteresting topic possible, and he made it like 3.5 hours long. And I don't remember ever checking my watch during the movie thinking, like, is it over yet? Where are we at? I mean, it just, all of a sudden, it was like Act 1 was through, Act 2 was through, Act 3 was through. It felt like three independent movies, in a sense, that were really stitched together well. And it
you know what his secret was, though? He brought in he started out by doing techniques.
Yeah.
It would be like sound would be something that would be emphasized, or it might be the cinematography. It was taking all of those kind of elements of filmmaking, and each one got a moment, if you will. And then at the end, just when you thought you knew where everything was going, he had this like powerhouse cast who dropped in, and were various people in that kind of hearing, that you said, oh my God, I can't believe they got so-and-so to show up for, a 2-minute, maybe 1-line cameo. And it was all part of this big kind of production that I think gave you a sense of what the movie was about. It was like so huge.
Yeah.
And their topic was so huge that it needed the time. Whereas Killers of the Flower Moon, the one I'll be honest now, because we're past that one.
Yeah.
I did not like having Martin Scorsese in the end of the film.
Oh, really?
In that little kind of radio show coda thing.
Yeah, interesting.
For me, it took me out of the story. And I didn't want that. I know that it was clever, and I know it was an homage and everything. But if I were going to compare apples to apples, that was one thing I really didn't like.
Interesting. It's funny, because I actually did enjoy that. The only reason I did is because if you watch his movies, he pretty much inserts himself into every movie in some way.
Yeah.
And you kind of forget about it. It's like he's all of a sudden the cab driver and Taxi Driver, right? He has this little, or he just makes this little quick appearance or something. And I don't remember actively thinking about, like, where's Martin Scorsese's little bit role in this movie. It never really crossed my mind. Right. But then all of a sudden he came out at the end. And the only reason I did like it is I think he was trying to make a very specific point. And it felt like, I'm the director. I would really like it to come from my mouth, kind of thing. So I didn't mind it. It was an interesting, I did enjoy like the old timey radio program, but it was an interesting ending for sure.
Yeah. So, 6 of 1. And we would love to know what was second place in all of these. It could be a whole bunch of them. It was Killers of the Flower Moon was second place.
Yeah. You never.
Or Barbie.
Yeah, it is one of the fascinating things. Like, when you look at sports awards, a lot of times you get the full voting, right? You see who is the winner, but also who finished in second, third, fourth, and whatnot. And in some cases, people will share who they voted for. But we don't get it with this. And
no.
I mean, I guess it's fine to some degree, but it also, I don't know, it's just curiosity. I'm curious, like, who.
Yeah, well, and I think we can go home saying, you know what, a lot of right people won.
Yeah,
they were really the best. I love the Last Repair Shop winning. If you have not seen that, please watch it. It is one of the most moving short documentaries around, and it's about, in Los Angeles, they have this instrument repair program for their schools, and these people talk about why they got into instrument repairs, and then when you hear from the kids who got the instruments, it's amazing, and it makes you think, why is this not shown everywhere so that music in schools gets a better punch? I mean, it's remarkable.
I mean, what else is there to say? I think we've covered it all.
You know what? We're already opening the doors for the next year.
Absolutely.
It's going to be on the docket for those, but right now, tonight's a night to just sit there and think, now, who are the 5 nominees for Best Actress?
I don't even remember. Lily Gladstone, Emma Stone, Jodie Foster.
No, she was supporting.
Oh, she was supporting. That's right. It was Annette Bening. I know it was Nyad. Got both, right?
Right.
Yeah. I don't remember the other two.
See? Sandra
Hüller. Yeah.
Yeah, so you see what I mean? This is what it's like. It's so important for 3 hours on a Sunday, and then it just kind of vanishes.
I know.
But I still want an Oscar, so if you know how to get one, we're getting one.
Absolutely. All right. Well, and I will point out too that I still haven't forgotten Forrest Gump beating out Pulp Fiction. Never forget.
Yeah.
Never forget. Pulp Fiction should have won.
That's how it goes.
I digress. Do you want to take a stab? Is there any movie that you can think of? I mean, I know this is about this year's movies and this. Is there anything on the horizon that is already getting buzz?
I think we need to watch Dune Part 2.
Okay.
I think Dune Part 2 could be one of the players. Wicked could be huge. It could be a real bomb.
Yeah.
Or it could be, oh my God, Part 1 of Wicked versus Part 2 of Dune. How does that go?
Crazy.
That's your team lineup for next year.
Okay. All right. Well, on that note, I think we'll wrap it.
It's time to go to bed.
It's time to go to bed. It's been a long night, but that's why we're here. That's why we bring the show. We gotta weigh in afterwards, and it was a good night. It was a good night for film, and it was a good night for us because we get to talk about it. So
now I just have to lose 30 pounds.
Right. Stop the snacking, right? All right. Well, on that note, we will be back again next week with another episode of Streamed and Screened.
O'Reilly. You need parts? O'Reilly Auto Parts has parts. Need them fast? We've got fast. No matter what you need, we have thousands of professional parts people doing their part to make sure you have it. Product availability. Just one part that makes O'Reilly stand apart. The professional parts people. O'Reilly Auto Parts.